Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another segment of Truth by Billie Beene, episode 308. Today's date is April 6, 2022. President Russia has captured, we understand, a U.S. Lieutenant General. A remote viewing of a World War II German group with the same philosophy we're seeing in Ukraine and May. So some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot subscribers, a Jean-Claude interview of Jim Willie, Israeli News Live, Stephen Banoon, Meghan Rose, Dr. Michael Salla interview of Dr. Courtney Brown, Kim Goguen, World News Report, ShariRaye, Judy Byington, Cliff High, and Jean Decode, and plus. So let's get started. Okay. And I'd like to say welcome. Thanks, like, subscribe, and share. I have a subscribe button in the lower right corner of my screen. I'd like to say thanks for all your words of encouragement and support for my channel. And I'd like to say welcome to all 50 states, including Alaska, Hawaii, the First Nations, Cherokee, Navajo, Hopi, Chickasaw, Mohawk, Apache, First Nation Pitt River in California, Mohegans, Yakama Nation in Washington State, Potawatomi in the Midwest and Oklahoma, Ojibwe Nation in northern Minnesota, a proud people who want peace and justice, Choctaw, Abenaki Tribe, Cheyenne, Massanutteket Pequot, the Blackfoot in Montana, Spokane, and Coville, and the nations of Canada, England, France, Ireland, Philippines, South Africa, Netherlands, also called Holland, Indonesia, Scotland, Germany, Switzerland, New Zealand, Maldives, Nepal, Norway, Australia, Chile, Thailand, Belgium, Mexico, Brazil, Russia, Panama, Guam, a U.S. territory, Jamaica, an Icelander living in Spain and other people in Spain, Wales in the UK, Sweden, Italy, Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, Romania, Bermuda, Bahamas, British territories, Morocco, Argentina, Northern Marianas Island, a U.S. territory located close to Australia and New Zealand, Denmark, Bolivia, Uganda, Iceland, Serbia, Bulgaria, Mauritius, a small island off of Africa, and the newest, Ukraine, the Czech Republic, and Poland. So let's get started. I have a Patriot subscriber who had a question. She's 72 and still working. Is she going to receive birth certificate money? My answer is yes. It's based on being of retirement age, not whether you're still working. Okay. I have a Patriot subscriber who's talking about the Azov in Ukraine, and I believe this is in Mariupol. And she's saying he is saying 4 Ukrainian choppers came in and they were trying to rescue the Azov leaders. And we learned recently the Azov leaders are fully on board with the World War II German philosophy. And this says 4 came in, 2 were shot down, and 2 escaped. So, we'll see. All right, Jean-Claude interviewed Jim Willie. Jim is a PhD economist living in Costa Rica. And Jim had some additional information about Russia and gold and the rubles and not taking the U.S. dollar. A lot of this report I'm giving today is coming about by the deep state actions in regard to money. They're running out of money. Okay. First of all, we want to say rest in peace, Rob Kirby. Rob was a noted economist and a truther, so we'll miss his perspective and look forward to more details on his passing. Okay, Now, last week, Hal Turner reported that Russia, with regard to their gold, was valuing it at $1,600, which would lead, according to the report from Hal Turner, the U.S. dollar being down 30%. Jim Willie is saying this interpretation is not exactly right. So Jim is revising it and saying the ruble is valued at 80, and that would bring the value of gold to $2,000 per unit. And Jim is saying that Russia is in control right now of the price of gold. Now, also we're seeing there's a German compromise, according to Jim Willie, because Germany receives oil and gas from Russia, which constitutes about 40% of their national supply. Well, Russia had said they're not going to accept U.S. dollars in payment for their oil and gas, only rubles. So now Germany is working out a compromise through Gazprom. That's a Russian bank that's in Germany that transfers the money for energy. So what Germany is going to do, they're going to deposit euros, but it's going to be converted to rubles at the bank, so Russia will accept the payment. Now, in England, we have England faces another situation also. 40% of their energy comes from Russia, and they're refusing to pay Russia in rubles. So Russia has halted oil and gas to England, and right now the U.S. has sent liquid natural gas ships to, they're in the Baltic states right now, ready to come forth and sell to England, but at twice the cost. The cabal wants to make money. They're out of money. So now, Cliff High is bringing this up, May 19 to 27. There's going to be a big event with banks likely going down, and it's going to be a high emotional time for populations. So that's coming up in May. We look forward to other changes in May. Now, Kim Goguen, I listened to an interview of her, and I'm getting a better handle on who Kim is. We know in the deep state there are different groups. There's this one group that Kim says she's aligned with, who in the past had Marduk as the head of the family. This is the Anunnaki. And then we have one group that's headed up by reptilians and greys. And then we have another group still with reptilians plus. And then they come down to human minions. Kim is a human minion for the Anunnaki group. All right. But she you have to listen to what she's saying, because some of it's intel, it's truth coming out, but she also puts forward propaganda. So, yeah, you have to filter that out. Okay, now, Kim is saying that Crimea, located in Ukraine, has been a secret space base since the 1940s. and that Ukraine is military theater. She's implying that nothing real is going on there, but I would beg to differ. We have other sources. So that's what I'm saying. Some of it's propaganda and some of it's truth. Now, she's saying Zelensky tries to continue what's going on in Ukraine because NATO wants World War III. NATO, let's translate that. Deep State wants World War III. They want some money. Okay, now here's some intel. That recent event between Will Smith and Chris Rock, the slap, had to do, Kim is bringing this out, was actually a commercial for Pfizer because reportedly the slap had to do with Will Smith's wife having a reference made to her alopecia, something to do with her hair. And Pfizer was the sponsor of the event because Pfizer wanted this to come out. People talking about alopecia because Pfizer has a new medication for it. So see, some intel's coming out from Kim. Okay, now Kim is bringing this out. The order of hierarchy within the deep state. They start at the top. They have ETs. Now she's saying covens, which are witches. And then the families, like the Rockefeller and other families we know. Like the Order of the Black Sun, the Medici, the gangster families are also, mafia families are part of this. Jesuit, Vatican, and then down to government and militaries. But the truth of the matter is, the way I understand it, is the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the Alliance, and other off-world forces have been able to get rid of that top layer of the reptilians, insectoids, greys, and they have left the planet. What we're dealing with now are the human minions. So we need to get rid of them. All right. Now here's some information she's bringing out. 2 to 3 weeks before the trucker convoy in Canada, the deep state had a meeting, they're saying, with General Miley. Now this must be a clone or double, because the real General Miley has been arrested and is at Gitmo, unless he's been released to do some kind of work for the undercover work for the Alliance. Okay. So they said they needed an event that's going to lead to nationalism and would generate a lot of money so they could steal the money. And that's exactly what happened. That doesn't diminish the impact and the importance of the citizen patriots in Canada who were involved in that trucker situation in Canada, because we did see strong nationalism, but it spread to other nations around the world. Then the trucker convoy, but what the deep state did was they did steal their money. So then the trucker convoy in the U.S. Was less successful to the deep state because people caught on. They were giving their money directly to the truckers and not putting it into a bank so it could be stolen or into some kind of holding group. No. All right. Now, Kim is saying this, a problem with digital. She's saying going fully digital would be a problem on a global basis because 80% of all transactions in the world are done in cash. Now, I had taken the position that having a total digital currency limits the freedom and independence of individuals because the banking system would be in charge of the money of all individuals. So I maintain that we we can have the digital currency, but we must have also global currency. We can have digital money, but we need also currency, which Kim is bringing out has to be for the majority of the world. Okay. Now, she's also bringing this out that NATO has sent weapons to Ukraine, and we'll find out NATO sent a lot more than weapons. The deep state is going down because they're losing money. Now, I had another source who said 1,500 Dutch bank IT people had been working in Ukraine banks, and they had to, on a daily basis, input into the computer system all over Ukraine to make transfers on the SWIFT. And Ukraine, also for the deep state, was a nation that also laundered money from all over the world. Then they sent it out to individual accounts around the world. So then but it took 1,500 IT people working on a daily basis in Ukraine to make that happen. When Russia came to liberate Ukraine, these individuals went home. They weren't from Ukraine. So no banking transactions have been going on since February. The deep state needs money. Okay. Now, we'll come to, has Russia captured a U.S. Lieutenant General? We had a report initially on April 5 from Hal Turner. I waited for another confirmation. Israeli News Live, Stephen Benin, formerly with the CIA, now has a ministry, but regularly has meetings at the Pentagon, received confirmation from the Pentagon that yes, this is accurate. It's Lieutenant General Roger Cloutier. And his position is, he is the commander of the Allied Land Forces. And we'll see. It's Lieutenant General Roger Cloutier was captured, plus additional officers of other nations, and they were captured at Mariupol, which has just been liberated by Russia in the last few days. Now, I looked up, and according to Stephen Benin, his information from the Pentagon, this Lieutenant General Roger Cloutier, and the other officers from other nations have asked Russia to give them a safe path of retreat from Mariupol. Now, I looked up what are the Geneva Convention requirements for officers, and I didn't find any distinction between officers and soldiers, and I found nothing about giving a safe path for the other groups who have engaged in military activities to have a safe path of retreat. Under the Geneva Convention, Russia would be required to take these individuals as prisoners of war and escort them to a safe place away from the active fighting as prisoners of war, but not to give them a safe path for retreat. Now, this also says Russia considers the NATO action as aggression. And Russia has shot down helicopters the day before. That was when the leaders of the Azov group, who embraced the same philosophy as was being practiced on Mars by other groups. All right. So now, also under the Geneva Convention, like Russia could ask an independent group like the Red Cross to come in and take these prisoners of war away to a safe place. But just in the last few days, there's been video inside Ukraine of Red Cross trucks, and out of them came Ukraine soldiers in their uniforms and weapons. So we see the Red Cross would not be a reliable group for this kind of action. So now, I asked God, how did these individuals get inside Mariupol? What I understood was they came in through the underground tunnels. And I submit to you, trying to say we don't know anything about the bio labs or the underground tunnels in Ukraine would not be a good move. No one's going to believe you. Okay. Judy Byington is bringing this out, that Russia has rescued thousands of young humans from these underground tunnels and the biolabs. And in Ukraine, 50% of these young humans are Asian. And the Russian soldiers who are engaging in these rescues then have to be treated for trauma. They're very traumatized by the things they're saying. And one of the things they're saying is underneath Ukraine and the biolabs, where they have these kidnapped and tortured young humans, they've been combining human DNA with animal and creating subhuman monsters. So we can see why the Russian soldiers would be traumatized. Okay. And Judy is bringing this out. Globally, the alliance of militaries, we're up to 38 militaries now in governments, have rescued millions of young humans. And we had recently Charlie Ward interviewed a Russian general. When will the war in Ukraine be over? And the Russian general said, when all of the young humans are rescued. So, okay, now, World News Report plus other sources are reporting an Army medic. It also says he was the pilot. And this is an accident that took place March 30 at 2 a.m. It involved two craft, and killed was Captain James T. Ballou, 26, and this happened in Fort Stewart, Georgia, Wright Army Airfield. There were two, but it is not believed to be an accident, and it's under criminal investigation. So our hearts go out to the family of this young captain. Okay, now we'll move ahead to sci-fi. Okay, Dr. Michael Salla interviewed Dr. Courtney Brown, who was engaged in remote viewing of a German World War II philosophy group on Mars, who also have contacts with the Azov group in Ukraine. And the remote viewing is verifying the hierarchy there as being reptilian, insectoid, gray, and then human. And these humans are Germans who do continue to practice the World War II philosophy as is passed to their minions in Ukraine. Now, Dr. Courtney Brown recently had remote viewers who verified the book of Tony Rodriguez and verified that humans have been taken by off-world groups, we now know for millions of years really, to be slaves, breeders, and other things. Okay. Now, from these ETs also comes down to a shadow part of the military and governments. We know that. And the deep state has different groups, as also brought up by Kim Goguen, like Black Nobility, the Dragon Families, the 13 Bloodlines, and other groups. Okay. So they're all vying for the dwindling resources on Earth. Okay. Now the humans on Earth, yes, are waking up and asserting their free will, saying, no, we're not going to tolerate that. So the off-world group, the Galactic Federation of Worlds Plus, is helping the Alliance, and they have removed most of the evil ETs from Earth, and now we're fighting against the minions, as in Ukraine. Okay, Meghan Rose had a conversation, received information from Val Nek. He's a representative of the Galactic Federation of Worlds that have a base on the moon. All right. And the headquarters for this group is on the moon. And the headquarters for the Earth Alliance is in Antarctica. Now, in December of 2021, there was a meeting in Antarctica of the Galactic Federation of Worlds Plus, the Earth Alliance. There were many Navy officers there and other militaries. President Trump was there. The topic was President Trump coming back, and the cabal does not want the world to know that President Trump is going to return. Now the question is the time frame. The cabal is fighting against it. But from all other multiple sources, it looks like May, including Jean Decode, who said the probability was over 50% for President Trump to return in May. And now, look ahead. Judy Byington is bringing this out. There are plans to bulldoze Washington, D.C., including the White House, the Capitol building, the Supreme Court, and return everything to being a bird sanctuary. And in March of 2022, last month, there were a lot of arrests, including 700 of the shadow CIA on a global basis, plus agents who were at a CIA farm in Germany. We recall there was a shootout in Frankfurt, Germany. I believe that was in December of 2020. And the director of the shadow U.S. CIA, Gina Haspel, was injured. And they patched her up and took her to Gitmo. Now, during that, there were 5 or 6 soldiers. And I think that was the military intel group who went in and performed that shootout. So we see in Germany there had been a presence of the shadow CIA and the deep state. Okay. So ShariRaye is bringing this out about the biolabs in Ukraine. That 15 out of 35 of the labs had been paid for and were operated by the U.S. shadow DARPA CIA group. And only Americans worked there. So trying to say, oh, we didn't know anything about it. Now, we know that recently, in the past few weeks, we saw that testimony by Victoria Nuland. Yes, we knew about the labs. They were just there for experiment. Yeah. Okay. So that's going on. And the Alliance has been making a lot of arrests. And a lot of them are living in barges close to Gitmo. Now, ShariRaye is bringing this out. President Trump, in the November 2020 event, received about 410 electoral votes. So that's well known by the military. Okay, President Putin is killing 3 birds with 1 stone in Ukraine, the biolabs, the Azov group, and taking down a majority of the central banks operated by the deep state. And in Mariupol, the citizens welcome Russia, and the Russian flag is raised over the city. So that's going on. Now, Sherry's military intel is that the QFS Nasara will be going forth 24 days from March 6, which makes it about April 18, and that corresponds to Cliff High's WebBot data for May, that there will be a high point of emotion in May that'll operate around the banks and other things. So that's going on. So it looks like May is a good time for us to plan on seeing some things, as well as a little bit later in April. Okay, a short prayer. This is a cleansing prayer modeled by Gene Decode. We remove permission to be in us, on us, around us. On earth, off-world, any dimension, any person, place, or thing not of God, any assemblage of fallen angels, AI, nanobot, and other forms of tech, any non-terrestrial species, spirit, thought form, operating system, genetic overlay, past, present, and future. And we say, get away from us in the name of Jesus. Now, this prayer is based on the King James Version, Isaiah 22. And it's second in the set of 5 in a series called In That Day. And the name of the prayer is, What Will You Decide in the Valley of Vision? In the Valley of Vision, I, Yah, will raise up Eliakim. That Eliakim means to raise up. the son of Hilkiah, which means God is my share. So God is going to raise up, God is my share. Individuals who are thinking that. I, Yah, will call forth a king for now, and I will lay upon his shoulder the key of David, and I will bless him as a leader. What he shuts, none can open, and what he opens, none can shut. In that day, the vision of many of my prophets and my ecclesia have had for my government upon earth will come forth and flourish. I, Yah, will cause this to be an answer to the prayers of my ecclesia. And we say thank you, Father, Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and the Holy Spirit. And I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there. Continue to pray. God is in charge, and he is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.